I'm Gene Martin. I own the Gunner Mast Trading Post in Atlanta, Illinois, and I was a cement contractor around Chicago. And about 10 years ago, we moved down here, and I seen they opened up the Palms Grill across the street, and I thought, this would be I seen people coming from all over the world, and I thought this would be just a great spot to open a little trinket shop. So I bought this building, and then I bought the building next door. And being a trading post, I take things in from people on trade, and I started buying things, and now I have over 1 million items in here. We have like 4,000 magnets, to over 10,000 license plates with all the states, and we specialize in the states on Route 66, the 8 states, and it's just been a lot of fun. I have a lot of trains running around here for the kids and things, and we just meet people from all over the world. They opened up that Palms Grill across the street, and boy, it sure just brought people from all over. It's really been an experience. Yeah, as a boy, I remember it because we used to go to Bandera, Texas from Chicago, and we'd take Route 66 to Oklahoma City and then go south there. They didn't have the other highways in, or the super highways, so that's how we went. And I remember the traffic. I remember as a little boy just getting up from the back seat, looking out, and it looked like a big caterpillar because it was all the red tail lights going down the highway and that. And I remember the little cafes because they were real crowded then. I mean, it's romantic now because there's not that many people on the road, but it was really like just a lot of traffic and things like that, and just a lot of people in the cafes that you would realize that the service was bad and stuff like that. I remember that. Some of the places we had to walk out and things like that. And we'd stay in old hotels with the pool and that. And, some of them didn't have air conditioning. We grew up pretty poor. We were cement contractors, so we went to Texas in the winter, and so we stayed in the cheaper hotels, and I remember they were dirty and, just small little buildings. And like I said, a lot of them didn't have air conditioning or anything.
So
it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember the big whale there in Oklahoma, and just some of the other things. The arch wasn't there yet in St. Louis. They built that in '77. But I just remember all the little places. We used to play miniature golf in the evenings. If we stopped at a hotel, they had a lot of them. Ice cream places, they were all around. And it was really a good time to grow up in America in the 40s and the 50s and that. It was really a fun time. Well, it keeps you to your childhood. That's why I think it's so popular here, from people in the States, because we remember it that way. And it just, you're tied to your childhood. It's kind of like this store. It's like a store you would walk into in the 50s and 60s when I was a kid. They had the trains and the airplanes and things like that. And I think that's why it's been so popular. And then worldwide, it's the adventure part, because even like when we took it in the 40s and the 50s, it was the adventure of going on the trip. It really wasn't where you were going, because it was just fun kind of just going anywhere. That's what's great about America. It's just so wide open, and you could just get on a motorcycle or a convertible car and just go on long trips and that. I fly an airplane too, and I used to fly it, and I would go to Laughlin, Nevada, and I would just fly down Route 66 because it goes through where all the passes are, and all the good airports are on it too because the towns are on it out there. So it used to take me like an extra hour and a half, but if I had any trouble too, I could land on it. I used to have a single-engine airplane, and I could land on the road if I wanted to, but I used to land at the airports and just get a courtesy car or a cab and go into the town. And the old restaurants and that, there were a lot more of them back then. This was in like the 60s and the 70s when I was flying it. And it was fun to do it then. I often thought of doing like a aerial trip sometime again and just, take photos of that. I remember flying over the crater out there by Winslow, Arizona. That was cool. That's one of my favorite spots, like from Gallup to Kingman, Arizona, or like even Gallup to the Needles. That's really a nice spot. I really enjoy that area. That's the Old West and everything. But it's just a lot of fun. It's almost like I'm sitting here in my living room and then somebody just walks in from Finland or Germany or Paris and that, and it's really an experience to just meet everyone from around the world. It's because I play the song Grease in here, and it's like everybody starts humming that song, no matter where they're from. They're from China or Russia. They've heard that song, and they love that song too. I didn't realize how much the Europeans watched our TV as kids, because after World War II, they didn't have any TV stations over there, so they seen a lot of our early 50s and 60s, movies and things like that, daytime shows and that. So they grew up with the cowboys and movies and Ozzie and Harriet and things like that. That they grew up with. Father Knows Best. That was a time when we really had some good television shows on the TV. Yeah, we get people from all over the world. The motorcycle people are my best customers. They can appreciate the store, it seems like, because I have like thousands of pins for them and things like that, and the refrigerator magnets and postcards. They can carry stuff like that, so I kind of specialize for them, because the motorcycle people are just, they're just great people. They can really appreciate this store. Well, we'll get, I would say, it's almost like, I think they said like 50,000 people a day do Route 66 in the summer, but they're on the expressway and they're on the 4-lane, and we're on the 2-lane. There's only about 268 miles left of the 2-lane. So we miss some of them because they're on the 4-lane. But I'd say we get 200 to 300 people a day coming through my store. Not all of them come in the store. Believe it or not, I don't know how they could pass this store with the flamingo out there and not come in it, but a lot of them will just take some pictures of the hot dog guy and that. And there's some people right now, as a matter of fact. It's funny, it's February and that. We'll get 200 or 300 a day coming, but I would say at least a couple thousand come through down through this highway every day. And you get all sorts of bikes and cars and that. It's just unbelievable. You'll have people even walking it. I own a laundromat next door, and I keep it open 24 hours and keep the heat on it, just so if somebody's walking it or riding a bike, they can stop there. One story I have is a guy bought a bike. He flew in from Japan to Los Angeles, and he just bought a little pedal bike, and he didn't buy a real good one. He bought it like a $200 or $300 one, and he rode it all the way to here. And when he got here, the tires were bald. He had like 8 broken spokes. He did this trip without any money either. He was like a real cheap guy, or he wanted to see if he could just like mooch off of people, because I ended up giving him $40 because he had to go to the next town, Bloomington. And he only had like $10, and I said, they're not going to give you 8 spokes for $10, so I gave him some money. But he was a real interesting person. He picked up a couple license plates on the way. He had them with him and that, and he was a real what was interesting, he couldn't speak any English either. But we got it across. I kind of figured what he wanted in that. And he told me, too, that when he was going like west of Needles, where there's no gas stations or anything, he didn't have any water, and he got real hot, so he had a sign and he wrote water on it and held it up, and people on the highway would stop and give him some water, give him a gallon of water or something and go, because most people, when they go from Needles to like Barstow, they know to carry at least a gallon or 2 of water with you, even if you're renting a car, just in case if you do break down there. It's 130 in the summertime there. But he had some interesting stories, and every once in a while I'll walk into that laundromat and somebody will be sleeping on the floor with a sleeping bag because they're walking it and they got caught in the rain or something. And we'll get the motorcycles stopping once in a while too. If it rains, they'll stop under the canopy at Casey's here. There's a spot for them there. But yeah, you meet a lot of people, that's for sure. Yep. I remember when I was 16, we were in Bandera, Texas, and my uncle bought a 59 Oldsmobile from his sister in Dallas. And I drove him to Dallas in a 64 El Camino Chevy. It had a 283 with 2-speed automatic, but it was that little truck like El Camino. It's a half car, half truck kind of. And I remember getting on 66, and I was 16 now, and I'm driving back to Chicago with him to go take this car back. And I remember doing 110 on Route 66, listening to Dion singing The Wanderer. And I always have that memory, and I have that tape in my car now, because what I do is when I do 66, I'll put that on there. I mean, I'm 16 years old, going like 110, and my uncle's behind me in this. He had an old 98 a Super Rocket or whatever it is, and he could keep up with me, but he was flashing the lights and honking the horn because he didn't want me going so fast. And like I say, I was in that... I was on 66 just moving out there because it was just open, and most of the cars back then in Texas and that, you'd be driving 80 or 90 anyway, and you just kind of watched for the cops because you could see so far out there. But that's one of the fondest memories I have, because even in the airplane I play that tape. There's no better tape than Dion and The Wanderer, when you're on a trip for a road trip. So well, I'm going to keep traveling it, till I pass away, because I think you stay young doing that, and a lot of people do it. They'll rent or buy the motorhome and that, and just stay on it. They don't leave their childhood. They just stay on it and keep doing it. And I've talked to a lot of the people from Europe and around the world, and some of them do it 2 or 3 times. They'll fly into Chicago and rent a car or a motorcycle, and they may do every other town, going to L.A., and then they'll go back home, and then the next year or 2 they'll fly to L.A. and do every other town going back the other way, so they get to get to see it from both ways. And that there's just so much character on the highway, and we're lucky that it didn't get commercialized, especially on these little 2-lane roads, because when Eisenhower came back from World War II, he seen the Autobahn, so he made the Autobahn, and 66 went just as a frontage road to the superhighways that they put in. And it went back to the towns and the counties, and they never really fixed it up, because during World War II it got beat up real bad because we overloaded our ready-mix trucks. We filled them up, as a matter of fact, because we were in the cement business. Dad told me during the war, they used to fill the ready-mix trucks up. It'd be spilling out of the back because of the war effort. Also the steel trucks to make our war machines. Everything was loaded up, but what I'm getting at is it really beat the highway up back then, and then it never got fixed properly, because before World War II it was like a gorgeous concrete highway. But then by overloading our trucks because of the war, it beat it up. And then because he put in the superhighways, the counties and the towns didn't spend any money on it, because it was just a little secondary. And that's why even to this day, when you're riding on that road, you're hitting these little bumps. You're going to really be shook up by in a motorcycle. But that's why they're there, because it's also a reminder of the men that we lost during World War II, that every one of them little bumps is like a soldier to me that we lost, fighting the Nazis and the Japanese. But that's why the road's so bumpy. I don't want to turn into a monologue here, but well, like I said, that area from Gallup to Needles is a real special spot to me, because I used to go to Laughlin, Nevada, which is just west of Kingman. And then I would backtrack to Seligman. One story, too, is I remember going to Seligman and talking to people there in the early 70s before there was a big 66 thing. And I was asking them why there were so many junk cars around Seligman at the time. There were just cars in backyards all over. And I remember I was at a bar there. I think it was the Black Cat Bar. There's somebody there from Italy coming here. Anyway, I remember asking him why there were so many cars, and he says because of the Seligman back then, when they would have a breakdown, there weren't any towns near it. So they would take parts off of the broke down cars and sell them to the people doing 66. But that area from Seligman to Kingman is one of my favorite because you're far off of the superhighway. But anyway, from Seligman to Kingman is a real neat drive.
That's probably one of your.
Yeah, because you're out there by yourself, and there's a lot of Indian reservations and that, so it's not commercialized at all. And you go through little Huckleberry, I think it is, or Hackberry, and there's a couple other little towns there. And you're kind of just out there by yourself. It's about a 130-mile ride, something like that.